Oh, there you are, YouTube. Doodle 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 doo. Subscribe if you're interested, but also no pressure. Hey, right now I'm going through the Best Picture nominations for the Academy Awards. I've gotten through most of them now. And what do I got? Now I have two left to see, if I recall correctly. But I watched American Fiction today. Stars Jeffrey Wright, one of my favorite actors. I especially love him. I feel like I love him in everything I've seen him in. Let me think of something I haven't. No, I think he's great all around. Um, what I love him most in is a movie called Basquiat, about Jean-Michel Basquiat, the street artist. And that's a movie I think he should have been nominated for Best Actor in. He was not, but he was nominated for American Fiction. So that's really exciting to see him nominated there. I think that would be a really cool win. I don't expect him to win. I think it's a clear race between Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer and Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers. Here's another cool thing. I love Jeffrey Wright in Lady in the Water. That's one of my favorite movies. I know a lot of people do not like it, but on this channel I, talk about how much I love that movie. And that movie stars Paul Giamatti, so that's really cool. And also, oh my goodness, Paul Giamatti. Let me continue this stream of thought that I have right now. This movie, American Fiction, was reminding me of another one of my favorite movies called Sideways, which stars Paul Giamatti. The music sometimes felt very Sideways as I was watching it, and there's a lot of similarities with the story as well. The character that Jeffrey Wright is playing is pretty similar in some ways to the character that Paul Giamatti plays in Sideways. So you have American Fiction and Sideways having these two actors that were in the movie, the Lady in the Water, and here they are in these roles where they're pretty similar. Obviously, a lot of years difference, but I'm trying to remember, when did Sideways, was that a '04 film? Wow, 2004 maybe, somewhere around there. And then we have 2024. I guess that's, the nomination. The movie came out in 2023, American Fiction. But anyway, they're both writers. Here Jeffrey Wright is a writer, and I guess I don't know if, failed writer is probably not the right word, and I don't think they're really trying to place that on him, where I think it's almost more so placed on Paul Giamatti's character in Sideways, because Paul Giamatti's character is like, I think he teaches like 8th grade or something like that, and I don't know, there's just more of a sadness to him, and a desire to be published, where Jeffrey Wright's character is a professor and doesn't, I'm sure he's frustrated that he's not getting published. It's been a long time since he has been published. He has been published before, but it's more like there's a frustration there, but it's not like him feeling like, oh, I've failed or something like that. It's more of a he doesn't like the current trends of where like novels are going and what's selling and things like that. So he doesn't see it as necessarily an issue with himself, but more of with the consumer patterns and in the marketplace, and those involved in selling books and things like that. I think he understands that he's a good writer. It's just like right now, what he's writing is not what's popular, what's in fashion. So he, in this movie, oh, was there something else I wanted to say about it being like Sideways? Maybe it's just the music, and then, the writerness. I think there was something else, but I don't know. If it comes to me, I'll say it. But so he's realizing he needs to. Well, he's not realizing it. He's pressured into changing the way he's writing, and he does it kind of just for fun as a joke, and then it turns into something, and it turns into opportunities. And what he's done is like he's turned his writing into these like stereotypes, and like these expected stereotypes, stereotypes that's expected of him as a person and also as a writer. They're saying, hey, you should be writing like this because you're black, right? You need to be writing like this. You need to be acting like this. You know, like the people who are, you know, trying to get books sold and stuff like that. And he writes, I guess, like this the most ridiculous thing to him that he can think of, and it's like overly stereotypical, and you know everything's so over the top. And then the people who are the ones that, you know, get books made and published are like, this is it, this is amazing, this is good. And he's like, what? How could this be good? I was like making a joke. And he's finding all this success and opportunity coming from amplifying stereotypes, and it's very frustrating to him. But yeah, I really liked this movie. I loved seeing Jeffrey Wright again, one of my favorite actors. I'm trying to think, like, what else, like, even in the Hunger Games, he's really good in the Hunger Games. He plays a character named Beatty. He's great in that. I loved him on Westworld. He's good as the new Commissioner Gordon. He's so good. I really love his version of the Commissioner Gordon, of Commissioner Gordon. What was he in? Was he in Source Code or something? Source Code or Vantage Point? Those two movies I always get mixed up, but he's in like one of those. But I've just always I think he's great. Again, I think like Basquiat's where I think really fell in love with him, but I think he's great in everything he does. I'd like to see more nominations for him. I'm excited about all his. I hope this like catapults his career even further, because I don't know. I love seeing him as a nominee, and I'd love for it to happen again, where you know, he's the winner, walks home with that award. I think that would be great. Also, Sterling K. Brown is in this. He plays Jeffrey Wright's brother, and he's nominated also for an Oscar. I want to get through all of the nominations. The score is nominated, which I mentioned briefly. Reminds me a lot of the score. Different composers, but it reminds me a lot of the score in Sideways. Also, it reminded me of the score in Lady in the Water a little bit too. There's this scene where he's sort of, when he's writing, and then his characters like sort of come to life around him, and like sort of like interacting with the space that he's in, like he's like daydreaming basically, as he's not daydreaming, but like what he's writing is, we can visually see happening around him. And the score at that moment, if I remember correctly, I think it was that moment. I just finished watching the movie, so I should have a clearer memory of this. But at that moment, I think we're getting a score that kind of reminded me of James Newton Howard's work in Lady in the Water, which was cool to see Jeffrey Wright and then have that music. And I was like, oh, that kind of makes me think of Lady in the Water a little bit. Keith David was in that scene also. Love Keith David. You know Keith David as the voice of Goliath from Gargoyles. You know him in, I mean, all sorts of stuff, but I like Armageddon is, you know, where I really know him from, and Gargoyles. I think those are like the two main things for me, like growing up, what I know him from. But you know, all sorts of things. So yeah, the score, Best Picture, obviously that's why we're here reviewing it. Jeffrey Wright, Sterling K. Brown, and also adapted screenplay, because this is adapted from, I believe, in a book called Eraser, and so yeah, different title and everything, but adapted screenplay. I believe I have that correct. Probably should double check me, but I'm pretty sure I got that correct. And I think that's all the nominations it has. The 2 acting, the Best Picture, and then score, and then screenplay. So good amount of awards there. I mean, it's tough. Like the acting race, I'm trying to remember who else is in there. Maybe I haven't seen them all, but those 3, Killian, Giamatti, and Jeffrey, like the 3 of those, honestly, if any of them won, I would be so happy for them, especially Jeffrey Wright, because I love him, and Paul Giamatti, because I love him. But Cillian Murphy, I think, like when I think of like all of the roles, I feel like he probably deserves it the most. I sort of have this system where I have who deserves it, who I want to win and um, sorry, deserves it, wants to win, who who I want to win, who deserves it, and then who I think will win. And then I have another scorecard of who does win. Because not all the time, like who I'm rooting for is not always who I think deserves it. Because and I don't like career wins or anything like that. But sometimes I don't know. I just like the actor the most, you know, and I can like the story attached with their win. Can mean something to me or something to where I will be rooting for someone who I don't necessarily think should be the winner, that sort of thing. Um, because I don't know, I'm struggling this year though. Like the three of them are so great. I'd love to see any of them walk away. I'm trying to think of who else is nominated. Ooh, it's not at the top of my head right now, and I don't have a sheet of paper in front of me. But anyway, yeah, so this movie, I enjoyed it, and I loved that it reminded me of one of my favorite movies ever, and yeah, it was good. And I'm so happy to see Jeffrey Wright as a nominee. That is so cool. Sterling K. Brown also nominated again. I already mentioned that, but he does very well in this. Like he and his brother are just like two completely different people, but they are dealing with some issues that sort of reconnect them, and it's nice to see them interact. And that makes me think of Sideways also, because Thomas Hayden Church and Giamatti, they have this history together, this friendship, but they are very different people, and that's like what we're seeing in here. And yeah, it was good. So, American Fiction, did you see it? If so, what did you think of it? I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments below, and perhaps we'll see you tomorrow for more Pure Hangout.